I can't remember how they say they do this. A border guard bribe, 2 cabs, 16 buses, and a ferry or something.
Don't forget the horse ride.
Oh, a horse ride, horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
They get down to the quote-unquote archaeology department, which we all assumed was going to be a school, part of a school. It is not. It's a knick-knack shop in Vermont.
And how many colleges do you think they went to before they realized that they were actually looking for a knick-knack store?
Yeah, that is a fine question.
I'm going to have to start brushing up my chess skills. Get enough money to do all that and have a top floor hotel room with plot convenience
all based on chess.
And a plot convenient transportation?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's apparently there's more money in hustling chess than I realized.
I spent all this time trying to learn how to count cards.
Yeah. And that only works if you have a single deck.
Yeah.
You get into multiple decks, it's almost impossible. So they go and dig up her little knick-knack shop. And now we start to see the actress of Pelia and her natural comedic timing, which is kind of a big deal. Of course, we referenced Taxi and all that in our first episode. Carol Kane is she's a good actress. She's done some very serious stuff. She was in When a Stranger Calls, which was a very scary movie at the time it was released, Yeah. But what I remember her from, Princess Bride, Taxi, it's always her comedic skills that
you know what? Side note. Mm-hmm. It's actually been, up until recently, years since I seen Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if it was just whim or that was what I found on Tubi or one of those sites that does the free TV.
Yeah.
And I ended up watching a bit of it and I seen Carol Kane in there and it took me a solid 5-10 minutes to recognize because the voice immediately struck me as, oh, I have heard that before. Yep. Who is that? And just after 5 or 10 minutes of thinking about it, I still couldn't get it. And I didn't get it until right when you just mentioned that. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yep.
Oh my God. The time travel never ends. Now she's in the Middle Ages.
Yep. So Pelia tries to broom them. And then that's when La'an drops hey, I know your name. I know where you're from. And I happen to know you ain't human. All right. So going into this act, La'an has pointed out that she knows Pelia is a lanthanite and not a human. I don't know whether they kind of go back and forth about La'an had expected to find an actual archaeology department, not a knick-knack store. And we find out that Pelia is not an engineer.
Which makes sense. I mean,
totally makes sense.
You would think that for a species so long-lived or something, Yeah,
you'd have to have a career change or two.
Makes more sense than spending 200-300 years as a barkeep. You know what I mean?
Yep. Except barkeep is... I'm one of those guys that I spend enough time at bars.
Yeah.
That I believe your relationship with your bartender is as important as your relationship with like your hairdresser or your barber or, people like that. Yeah. So we go through this whole thing where they're trying to figure out how a non-engineer that they spent like $10 million going to find can help them, find, hey, come here, Commander. Just chill out for a minute. We only got a little bit more, okay? I know you got a lot to say about this episode, but we're going to keep you for the notes for later. But they're trying to figure out how now they can continue to find what they're looking for. They stumble upon an idea of what they used to use in watches to give them a glow-in-the-dark face for divers. And they realize that, these watches would be dead now, but if you got them around a little bit of radioactive material, they would glow again.